tried to warn her, but it's a bit difficult telling one's prospective sister-in-law about the iniquities of one's own brother, and I'd never got it across. Still, she must have loved him despite everything, judging by the way she was behaving. But then Mark had a way with his women. One thing was certain, Mark's death wouldn't affect me a scrap. I had long ago taken his measure and had steered clear of him and all his doings, all the devious and calculating cold-blooded plans which had only one end in view, the glorification of Mark Trevelyan. I put him out of my mind, adjusted the desk lamp, and got down to my figures again. People think of scientists, especially oceanographers, as being constantly in the field, making esoteric discoveries. They never think of the office work entailed, and if I didn't get clear of this routine work, I'd never get back to sea. I thought that if I really buckled down to it, another day would see it through, and then I would have a month's leave, if I could consider writing a paper for the journals as constituting leave. But even that would not take up the whole month. At 6:15, I packed it in for the day, and Kane had still not shown up. I was just putting on my overcoat when there was a knock on the door, and when I opened it, a man said, "Mr. Trevelyan." Kane was a tall, haggard man of about 40, dressed in rough seaman's clothing and wearing a battered peaked cap. He seemed subdued and a little in awe of his surroundings. As we shook hands, I could feel the calluses and thought that perhaps he was a sailing man. Steam seamen don't have much occasion to do that kind of handwork. I said, "I'm sorry to have dragged you across London on a day like this, Mr. Kane." "That's all right," he said, in a raw Australian accent. "I was coming up this way." I sized him up. "I was just going out. What about a drink?" He smiled. "That'd be fine. I like your English beer." We went to a nearby pub, and I took him into the public bar and ordered a couple of beers. He sank half a pint and gasped luxuriously. "This is good beer," he said. "Not as good as Swan, but good all the same. You know Swan beer?" "I've heard of it," I said. "I've never had any." "Australian, isn't it?" "Yeah, the best beer in the world." To an Australian, all things Australian are the best. "Would I be correct if I said you'd done your time in sail?" I said. He laughed. "Too right you would. How do you know?" "I've sailed myself. I suppose it shows somehow." "Then I won't have to explain too much detail when I tell you about your brother. I suppose you want to know the whole story? I didn't tell Mrs. Trevelyan all of it, you know. Some of it's pretty grim. I'd better know everything." Kane finished his beer and cocked an eye at me. "Another?" "Not for me just yet. You go ahead." He ordered another beer and said, "Well, we were sailing in the Society Islands, my partner and me. We've got a schooner, and we do a bit of trading and pick up copper and maybe a few pearls. We were in the Tuamotus. The locals call them the Powamutus, but they're the Tuamotus on the charts. They're east of—" "I know where they are," I interrupted. "OK, well, we thought there was a chance of picking up a few pearls, so we were just cruising around calling on the inhabited islands. Most of them aren't, and most of them don't have names, not names that we can pronounce. Anyway, we were passing this one when a canoe came out and hailed us. There was a boy in this canoe, a Polynesian, you know, and Jim talked to him. Jim Hadley's my partner. He speaks the lingo. I don't savvy it too good myself. What he said was that there was a white man on the island who was very sick, and so we went ashore to have a look at him." "That was my brother." "Too right. And he was sick." "My word, yes." "What was wrong with him?" Kane shrugged. "We didn't know at first, but it turned out to be appendicitis. That's what we found out after we got a doctor to him." "Then there was a doctor?" "If you could call him a doctor. He was a drunken old..."